All right, now I know there's someone out there who's got to be thinking, gosh, you know what would really sell this effect is if the letters and the squares were casting shadows, as in the case of this final artwork. And while it's a little bit tricky to pull it off, it's totally possible, as I'll show you in this very movie. All right, so I'll go ahead and switch over to the final tile arrangement, and I'll press the A key in order to select my wide arrow tool, and I will click the colored shape inside of the 9 in order to select it. And then to select the other purple numbers, click the Select Similar Objects icon on the right side of the control panel. Then you want to go up to the Object menu and choose the Copy command, or of course you can press Control-C or Command-C on the Mac. Then click off the letters to deselect them and return to the Edit menu and choose Paste in Front, or press Control-F or Command-F on a Mac. Now what we want to do is combine the numbers together, and because they all share the same fill attributes, the best way to do that is to go to the Object menu, choose Compound Path, and choose Make, or you can press Control-8 or Command-8 on the Mac. All right, now we just need to repeat those steps for the other letters. So I'll click in the orange portion of the letter F, then I'll click on a Select Similar Objects icon in order to select all the letters. I'll press Control-C or Command-C on the Mac. I'll click off the letters to deselect them. I'll press Control-F or Command-F on the Mac in order to paste them in front, and I'll press Control-8 or Command-8 in order to combine them into a single compound path. Now I'll click inside the blue portion of the M to select that letter. I'll click on the Select Similar Objects icon. I'll press Control-C or Command-C on the Mac, click off the letters, press Control-F or Command-F on the Mac, and then combine them into a compound path by pressing Control-8 or Command-8 on the Mac. The only ones left are the red letters, so I'll click inside the red portion of the R, click on the Select Similar Objects icon to select all the letters, press Control-C or Command-C on the Mac in order to copy them, click off the letters and press Control-F or Command-F on the Mac, and then press Control-8 or Command-8 on the Mac to combine them all into a compound path. All right, now press the V key to switch back to the black arrow tool, and just go ahead and shift-click on each set of letters. So the blue M, the orange F, and the purple 9. And now I want to make a new layer below the letters layer by pressing Control-Alt-L or Command-Option-L on the Mac. And you can see that makes a new layer behind. And I'll go ahead and call this layer Shadows, and I'll change its color to light red, let's say, and I'll click OK. All right, now just go ahead and drag that little gold square down to the Shadows layer in order to move the selection behind the extruded letters. And then I'll just go ahead and zoom in a little so I make sure I'm doing this right. And I'll press Shift down arrow and then Shift right arrow in order to move the selected path outlines so they're aligned to the back of those sculpted characters of type. All right, now we want these guys to be filled with black. So switch over to the Appearance panel. Notice that we're seeing mixed appearances because they're all filled differently. Well, to solve that problem, just go up to the first watch on the left-hand side of the control panel and change the fill to black. And then you will no longer see mixed appearances inside the Appearance panel. All right, now I want you to click on the fill inside the panel, twirl it open, and then click on the word opacity. And let's go ahead and take that opacity value down to 50%. All right, now click on the fill again to make it active. Drop down to the FX icon, choose Distort and Transform, and choose the Transform command. And I'm going to change the horizontal move value to negative 0.05 point. So very teeny increment, 1/1440th of an inch. And then I'll take the vertical value to 0.1, which is 1/720th of an inch. And now turn the preview checkbox on so you can watch this happen. Click in the copies value there and press Shift up arrow a bunch of times. And notice as you do, you'll see the shadows emerging from the letters. And I went ahead and took this copies value up to a total of 160. So we're just moving these guys on top of each other, after which point click OK. And now just go ahead and zoom way, way, way in there. And you will see that what you really have is a ton of little paths on top of each other. So we have this kind of jagged edge, but it's so tiny. It has at the very least a resolution of 720 jags per inch. And so there's no way it's going to show up in print. All right, now let's just go ahead and zoom out. We also need to add shadows behind the squares, of course. So go ahead and switch back to the Layers panel and click in the upper right corner of that checkers layer to select it. we want to select all the squares, but we don't want to select this beveled edge. So go ahead and shift-click on that edge, which is located exclusively in the top left corner of the document, because after all, the others are a result of a couple of dynamic effects. And now we want to copy these guys by pressing Control-C or Command-C on the Mac, and then just press Control-F or Command-F on the Mac in order to paste them in front. All right, we don't need a stroke, so go ahead and change the stroke to none. And let's set the fill to black, like so. And we need to move these guys 8 points to the right and 8 points down by pressing the Enter key or the Return key on the Mac, which, when the black arrow tool is selected, brings up the Move dialog box. And I'm going to change both the horizontal and vertical values to 8 points and click OK. All right, now once again, I want to switch over to the Appearance panel, and should have mentioned you can get to it by going up to the Window menu and choosing the Appearance command. But I think you probably know that by now. And I'll twirl open the black fill, click on the word opacity, change that opacity value to 50%, and go ahead and click on the fill again. And this time, rather than dropping down to the FX icon, I'm going to go up to the Effect menu and choose Transform ... which will repeat those last settings. So now if I turn on the preview checkbox, you can see we've got big shadows here as well. I decided the squares weren't quite as deep, however, so I reduced the copies value to 120 so that we're casting slightly smaller shadows, at which point I'll click OK. And then, of course, we need to move the shadows behind the things that are casting them. So I'll switch back to the Layers panel, and I'll drag this little blue square down to the back layer, like so. All right, now I'll click into Pasteboard in order to deselect everything. And I want you to see that the shadows aren't quite as accurate behind the letters as they could be. And if that bothers you, then what I recommend you do is lock down the letters layer so that you can more easily select things. And then press the A key in order to switch to the white arrow tool. And click on this guy right there in order to select him because he's sticking out in a way he shouldn't. We have some problems right here on the edge of the F as well, so I'll shift-click on those 2 points. And then I'm going to scroll over to the V. We got a problem right there, so go ahead and shift-click on it. In each case, I'm shift-clicking to add more points to the selection. And after having selected all these points, these are really the ones that are most problematic. You want to press the left arrow key a total of 3 times, 1, 2, 3, to move those guys out of the way. Now, we also have a problem with the 1, so I'll just go ahead and select its point, the purple one, that is to say, up here at the top of the document. And if we move down to the blue line, you can see that we've got a problem with the I, so I'll shift-click right there. I think the M might have an issue. It does. I'll shift-click on its anchor point. And then let's shift-click on the L's top right anchor point. How about the E? Yep, he's got some issues right there, so I'll shift-click on each one of those anchor points. And I think that's it. I don't think any of the bottom letters, because they're rounded, really have much of a problem. Even the A looks to be in pretty good shape. All right, so let's just take a look at the M here. Might as well do the same thing we did before, which is to say you want to press the left arrow key a total of 1, 2, 3 times in order to tuck in those points, and then press Control-Shift-A or Command-Shift-A on the Mac in order to deselect your artwork. And you know, I'm going to press the F key a couple of times to fill the screen with my art, and I'll press Control-0 or Command-0 on the Mac to zoom in. And that, folks, is how you use the Align and Distribute options to create precise rows and columns of objects, as well as how you create nifty drop shadows using the Transform effect here inside Illustrator.